you love. This is love when I wanna get another one. I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do what with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr.
You let it yum 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 yum. Na yela pere matina yela pese. You let it yum 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 yum. Na yela pere muna kapela. Chora kakisa oyari yela pere balungna baire.
That dream of studying and working abroad has been made much accessible to everyone, including you. So worry less about how you're going to get there, because we always make it happen. This is StepFinders Ghana Limited. We offer a highly professional guidance and support system, both in your university and visa application process. StepFinders Ghana Limited is a highly trusted agency of the University of the West of Scotland, one of the largest modern universities offering a range of academic, social, and sporting facilities. You can apply for undergraduate, master's and PhD in business and creative industries, education, social sciences, computing, engineering, physical sciences, health, and life sciences. Come through StepFinders, and for your studies, you get yourself a laptop or a £500 gift voucher. Call on +233 598 4888 04. WhatsApp on +44 7404 711 049. Send us an email or visit our website for more information.
Welcome once again to Political Justice. We meet here every Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Ghana time. We are Ghanaians in the diaspora. You know, I always say, as Ghanaians living in the diaspora, it's not an escape. You know, we are impacted by conditions back home as much as those who live there. And so we meet every Saturday to talk about most of the pressing issues in our country, you know, largely bordering around politics and developmental issues. And with me here again this afternoon to do justice to the issues are my panelists, James Amemaso, professor at Rutgers University, New Jersey, Hajia Sharifa Strong, who is a women's and children's rights advocate, who is in New Jersey as well, Ni Ama, the professor of actuarial science at Appalachian State University in North Carolina, and Zita Seshi, sociologist out in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. You know, we are just on this show, so we have equal representation in terms of our panelists. We have a gender balance in terms of who is who has a voice on this show. So yeah, we're setting the example anyway. Yeah. So how is everyone doing? How is the Easter? How are we celebrating Easter?
Yes, host, I call you Professor Agana, although you don't like to be called Professor, but thanks again for having all of us here on this show, which is, as you said, every Saturday from 2 p.m. We are happy to be here. We are all doing good. I'm doing good. My family is doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, Haja, how is the fasting? You don't look like someone who is fasting.
Alhamdulillah, we are blessed. It's a month of reward, and so every second, every minute counts. And I wish it was more than a month, and because who wouldn't want to have more blessing? But Alhamdulillah, everything is going on fine. Thank you for asking.
That's what Zita. I'm sure you guys still have about 2 months of winter. So,
Yes, no, yeah. We have it's pretty cold this week in Canada, especially where I'm based, Saskatchewan. So I mean, I wish I was in Ghana for the Easter. But hey, if I find a sponsor and somebody's willing to be buying my tickets to Ghana business class and first class, please.
what kind of sponsor are we talking here?
Take it
That's
in.
just a capable sponsor. I'll leave it at that. Yes. But please, no more economy. I don't mind.
Is that along the lines of
Fortunately for us, we are Africans. We have African politicians who can sponsor that, so don't worry.
is it along the lines of Ebony's song? Anyway, Ani, how is North Carolina?
Well, the weather is great. The family is good. We are good. Thank God for everything. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's jump right into the issues. So I mean, these days we like to, produce the receipts, as they always say. Bring videos, play, and then it'll give us sort of the the segue into whatever conversation that we're trying to have. And for me, I want us to ease our way into the heavy stuff. Our country is full of a lot of heavy stuff to talk about, but this afternoon, I want us to begin with something that is equally serious, but we can consider as light in a certain respect, and it has to do with the filth in Accra. There's a video that has been making the rounds. I think it's captured by a group calling themselves Bar Stop Boys or so. And, and I just want our producer to play it. And then when we come back from it, then I can pose the questions and we'll talk about all these issues.
Abusua, epacho men kase mfa ho wai. Na ha agbogboloshi. Enuane edi ni kurom ha nyinaa no dodo na aha na mo ba mbe yi no ansa na mo acheche e de akọ market dodo na mu titiriw ni je ne ne ma ne mba ire ne ma bia woni bebre no ha ene ye to no nti one way or the other no it affects you. Enti ye ho na Queen Mother ba ko a owo sa joy mu friends Bar Stop Boys ade ne jim nsam o timpese nka mo meboa ne ye nti gates nim. Na gata na specifically on a team is just about 25 to 30 meters. Observing keenly from my experiences in Zinim said that it's a long stretch of gutters. I could just 30 meters. Onye she na it is a sebi ebunu sebi nyado. I will be tea and yana dear drew a cocoa talent and nine. Ne senti ne ya dwese sa de ye betwa video na abo Ghana phone na amane. Because o mind ye nyina ya dia. Ye nyina so nam kruma ye to aduane. Aha ene aduane free nti de na woka mesrew me nyina nkyira adwene hwe kwan pa betimi de afa so a ye be koye sa agbogboshi dwom die gatet we nyina yie we Bar Stop Boys en kwan etimi nye we madaroma age se mo one first kekeke amba fa woni o mane fa watade ne nyina ye nkoda kro ye nkokan bom ye nsiesie ha because in the end food stuffs na wodie no every ha na eba edamase na me sa ka so ochina so gine wo circle anopa 7 a.m. busy internet one bra there is too much to waste time pacho me onko wate na so man be here I just nyina eboa.
All right, well, and I don't know if many of you know this, but Agbogbloshie has gained global renown as, if you like, the most polluted part of the world. in terms of e-waste in particular, right? So, I mean, whenever there's an example of how electronic waste is exported from Western countries to developing countries, that Agbogbloshie is first on the list. So that is even besides this particular issue that we are talking about. And I guess my question is, Ghana, have we become so numb to some of these things? Like, I mean, this should be a big problem, but it seems like we've been burdened with so much problems that something like this seems to be a minor problem. So what is going on? I mean, and I'll start with James, and if you can I don't know, is it policy failure, the our local government system, what is going on?
Thank you. Thank you, host, Professor Agana, again for having us. Yes, the issue of environmental problems is just very bad. And I want to thank the Bus Stop Boys, I think that's how they are called, for drawing attention to some of these issues and calling attention for all of us to get involved, to do something about our environmental problems. It's a very, very sad thing to see and to know that that's the country you're from. And to see this thing that is out there, everybody gets to see. So it boils down to not only the citizens broadly, but leadership. There's a saying that, everything rises and falls with leadership. And so why do we have this kind of situation in the 21st century? We have elected leaders who are supposed to inspire us to draw attention to the issues and get them resolved. It's very sad that we still have these problems with us and nothing is being done. Of course, I remember very well in 2025, I went home and flew all the way, of course, to Kotoka International Airport and was driven through Accra. And in fact, to be honest with you, that was a personal experience I had. I had something that probably went through my nose, my mouth, all the way into my stomach. And my stomach was churning at that point in time. So what's this? Having lived in the United States for 3 years and went back, I was really surprised to see that level of filth. And that has not been solved. Particularly, of course, the previous government, NDC administration, did a lot to draw attention to issues like this. I know Kufuor's administration did a lot by putting together Zoom Lion to bring attention to issues like this. But for the past 8 years or so, the president, the current administration, promised us that we're going to make Accra, the most beautiful country in the world. I mean, beautiful city in the world. And for that matter, Ghana as a whole. But to see this in 2024 still being a problem, and Agbogbloshie has acquired that notoriety as the most filthy part of the country, and nothing is being done.
The world, not even the country.
Okay, Thank you. Tells us of the level of problems we have. And I was hoping these past 8 years, attention would have been drawn to this and make Accra truly a very clean city, but nothing has been done. It tells us about the evidence of the low leadership that we have. There's no vision at all to be able to address some of these problems rather than looting the country. And so I am really appalled to see such a thing. And I hope that, and of course, looking forward that the next administration comes 2025, greater attention will be drawn to this issue so we can solve it once and for all and champion that across the country. And not only in Accra, but bring awareness to the environmental problems that we create and how best we can. And of course, it cannot be done by government alone, but government will have to demonstrate that leadership. Because as I said, everything rises and falls with leadership. So leadership is very important to bring some of these issues to a close. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Zita, what do you think about it? So for instance, when I was in high school, our campus was very spotless. And this was because it got to a point the school administration, it put in place punitive measures for anybody who dropped litter, to the point where whenever I even went home and I drank pure water, I would put it in my pocket until I got to a place where I could dispose it of properly. Is this leadership failure, or is just a natural lack of self-discipline among us as citizens of Ghana? I don't know where does it start,
Thank you, Mark. you took the words out of my mouth, because when I'm preparing for discussions that we have on every Saturday, for me, I think it's twofold. We have the government's responsibility or leadership responsibility, and also citizens' responsibility. Again, we've not seen much commitment by Nana Addo. He said, Accra will be the most beautiful city in the world, as it should be. Nana Addo has gotten a lot with leveraging Ghana and promoting Ghana as the destination for African Americans. You go on social media and there's something called Dirty December. If you are in Ghana in December, the city is choked to capacity. I was in Ghana in December. The city is choked. Foreigners everywhere, even on TikTok, the young people are beginning to say that Ghana doesn't feel like it's for Ghanaians anymore, especially during the Christmas, because everybody has an accent. Everybody's coming from America. You have celebrities coming in, Boris Kujo, and Nana Addo sold Ghana as the year of return. The year of return was used to get a lot of foreign expatriates, specifically the African American community, to Ghana. Now you are doing that. Where are these revenues coming in? Because these people are coming, they generate a lot of income. We had Steve Harvey in Ghana. He even did his popular Family Feud show in Ghana. These people are investing in Ghana. So it is even in our best interest to make Accra spotless. But over the 8 years, year of return, right now, Dirty December, everybody's trooping in Ghana in December, and the city is choked and it's dirty. So these are the key things. First of all, we need to restructure and redesign our sewage systems. That should be a political mandate of the incoming government, like restructuring the sewage systems, and also bins. We need to position bins, and we need to have 2 bins like we have in North America, one for composite material, one for what? Recyclable. But look at when the guys lifted, everything is just munched up together. You have plastic bottles. It's just a mess. And again, I also think that the attitude of Ghanaians also contributes. So it's a two-way forward. Our leadership have failed. They've marketed Ghana rightly in terms of being the destination for African Americans and people who left Africa through the slave trade and wanting to connect back. But the city is not sustainable. It cannot host people because it's extremely dirty, and we need to restructure our sewage system. Have 2 bins, one for composite material, one for recyclable material, and the attitude of Ghanaians need to change. The throwing of rubbish everywhere needs to change. You got to keep garbage with you and then put it in your bin when you get home. So it is a twofold approach. If government is doing the work and there's no serious intensive education to make the Ghanaians sensitive to these things and understand the importance of sanitation and ultimately marketing Ghana as a destination for tourists, it will not work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up the issue of bins, right? I have a friend that said, and I don't want to mention the name of the organization, but they had an organization in Ghana where they were soliciting private funds and putting up bins across Accra. But the sitting government decided to literally sabotage that action because they felt that, I don't know what it is, but I think they also had the name of the organization on the bin. And so the government felt that it was an indictment on them to actually have private organizations putting up bins across the city. I mean, Haja, and again, we saw a video recently of the former Auditor General talking about how Zoomlion has consistently inflated its cost for bins. And here we have private individuals soliciting private funds to put bins across the country, and then it appears the government is not happy. So what is the role of the citizen then in this particular matter?
Thank you so much, Dr. Agana, for having me today. It's such an honor. You're talking about my business right now, and I couldn't wait to come in because my sweetheart is a bolaman. We collect rubbish for a living, so it's right up my alley. Look, it's so appalling to a point. There's the power play in here. You would not believe it. We were doing a lot of areas, including, for business purposes, I will not mention them because, we have a habit of going after people's business just because their, ideas don't align, or their, thoughts don't align with ours, or because we go against what, policies they put aside. We were sabotaged. They gave the that time there was this guy who was the mayor of Accra. His brother was into garbage collection, so they took the contract from us and gave it to the guy. And you know what? That was the time we saw Accra very, very dirty to a height. Now, remember the time when Rollins used to jump into gutters and then clean Accra to demonstrate, as my co-panelists just mentioned, leadership, to demonstrate that this is how it has to be done. Without me, you will not do it. And so I am doing it. Take the initiative and let's do it together. If you go to Kenya and Rwanda is the most cleanest country ever in Africa. You go to Kenya, you go to South Africa, especially Cape Town, they have been able to manage these places to a point you go there and you ask yourself, am I in Africa? It means that we can achieve that if we want to do it. But like I said, politics play a very dirty role in sabotaging our own country. Dr. Zita mentioned the year of return. This is an avenue, an initiative that will generate a lot of income. But how are we attracting this income back into our country? And how are we using the revenues generated from that to help our country? Zero. UNICEF came out with a documentary, and according to their report, Ghana is next to South Sudan. South Sudan is the most dirtiest country, and Ghana is next after South Sudan. How come? So it is an attitudinal problem by we the citizens, because nobody holds us accountable to our actions. We can just sit in our trotros, drink our pure water or sachet water if you like, and throw it out. And then when it rains, our gutters are choked and we end up being displaced of our homes and all the livelihood and everything. Yet we do not see any action by government after declaring that Ghana will be there in 2018. Ghana will be, as already mentioned, yet there's no action to follow up on that. So I think we, the citizen or vigilante groups, have to take this upon themselves, like the, what do they call them? Gata boys.
I
think
Bus Stop Boys.
Like the Bus Stop Boys have made it their business. Remember Koligono, if you go past the Lavender hill or whatever they call there, you can't breathe for like 30 minutes. It's like you are ingesting something poisonous into your lungs and all that. Yet human beings are living around there, and the same human beings, they go and then drain it, remove it and everything. The next time you see people dumping inside there. So I think they have to set up, task force or other things. Now, talking about bins, even us, those who collect trash, we provide bins for our customers. You end up seeing the bins in someone's house and they pour water in it. So we have decided to perforate holes under our bins, and it's not just to ventilate it, but to prevent people from stealing it. Put the bin there and then put a camera. Someone will come and stand in front of your house, look here, look there, and if they don't see anybody watching, they drag it with them. What are they going to do with it? They are either going to sell it or use it for other things in their homes. Forgetting that the bins are being provided for a reason. It is to keep your gutters, your neighborhoods, or your houses clean. Leave it there. Someone would come and collect it. Now we even have boys who have these tricycles. They call them pragia and other things that they use to collect the rubbish for small money. And yet you see them go and do that. Where do they take the dump? Because they can't get to all this dumping sites and all that. They look here, look there. Temamoto Way became some area in Temamoto Way became a dumpster for boys like that, because there's no provisions, there's no designated areas. We go all the way as far as behind Pokwasi to go and dump. We used to go to Pantine, and then they cleaned up that place. And then we change. So it costs a lot of money, but we still can achieve that. If Rwanda, if Cape Town, if Kenya, and all those African countries can do it. The first time I went to Rwanda, I asked myself, am I actually in Ghana? You go to Kenya, you ask yourself, I mean, in Africa, you go there, you ask yourself, am I actually in this same continent called Africa?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a big problem. It's a government problem, and it is a citizen problem as well. And we all have to make it our collective duty and responsibility to ensure that, you know, we change our habits and ways that we do these things. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm from Bolga, and recently I saw a video on social media. A guy had visited Bolga for the first time and decided to make a video, and he adjudged it as the cleanest city in the whole of Ghana. But I mean, you are an Accra boy, so I'm sure you have your stories about, you know, this problem that we are discussing. So, I mean, let's just briefly, and then we can move on to the next.
Yeah. Briefly, for me, you know, we have this president that keeps on making promises left, right, and center. This guy, as Dr. Zita said, promised to make Accra the cleanest city in his State of Nation, I think 2019. But
it was in 2018, I think.
2018, right. Yeah. But given his track record of unfulfilling promises, I'm not surprised. And this is the same guy who promised God and couldn't fulfill it. So I think it's right in his alley there to just promise. He knows we kind of what this MPP government have done. They knew the problems, talked about all the solutions, then they got power and they decided to just focus on amassing wealth for themselves. Even if you look at the Agenda 2030 for the Sustainable Development Goals, is there. They want to ensure clean water and sanitation for healthy environment. But of course, our people know this, right? This government, they go to all this meeting, take their per diems, they know this. But here you have sanitation minister paying a courtesy call to these bastard boys. And I'm sitting there wondering, why is the government who is paid, have all the resources to, you know, solve this problem, not focus on actually implementing some kind of long-term solutions to ensure this we have clean environment? And they know the solution. Trust me, these people know what to do. We know what to do. It's just that I don't understand. Sometimes I don't know whether it's a political war. I don't know what the problem is. But for me, at this point, we have to keep on kind of, you know, letting them know we know they are failing us. And for now, that's what we can do at this point. And so we hope, you know, the next government will do better, because at the end of the day, it's sanitation. It goes into we buy food, and as the guy said in the video, we do buy food from this market. We eat and stuff like that. So if those areas are not clean, nobody is safe, right? So yeah, we hope everybody do.
And to add to what you said, the best kenke comes from Bukom, and that area is the most dirtiest area. The most so kenke lovers. If you know where your food is coming from or the kitchens that they come from, you think twice before you lay
So can you imagine if it was cleaner? The kenke would have even more tastier. But anyway, you bring an interesting. I almost forgot that, in fact, we have a sanitation minister, and this is the minister that a house help actually stole over $1 million from, right? And up till date, it's still a mystery as to how she got all that money in real cash, right, sitting in her room. But that's a subject for another day, right? Only God knows what that $1 million could have done in terms of cleaning up part of Accra.
It's not a mystery. People just decided to look.
I mean,
it's
crazy. But anyway, let's move to sort of, I would say, a more pressing issue. So we all know that immediately after the 2012 election, you know, there was a court proceeding that went on for almost half a year or more. And after that court proceeding, every Friday there was a demonstration in Accra, right? There were a group of people, the so-called elites in Ghana, who would gather every Friday in their red polo shirts, and they call themselves Occupy Ghana. and had demonstrations consistently from 2013 all the way to the election, right? And, you know, they included a current finance minister. There's a video of the sitting minister for energy, Mighty Opoku Prempeh, who was in one of those demonstrations. In fact, I cannot confirm if it was the Occupy Ghana demonstration or one of the many others that went on during this period. And then after that video, there's a video of him speaking to energy issues, being the sitting minister for energy. In fact, I want us to see those two videos, and then when we come back, we'll discuss. In fact, now we have the benefit of, I mean, through the current digital age, we have the benefit of things that people said many years ago, and then we would hold them into account based on what they say now. So let's see those two videos, and then when we come back, we'll discuss.
If they are buying electricity and they are having it for free, if your salary, you are spending 60% of your salary on electricity bills, then you understand what I'm suffering. I am suffering from Muhammad. How do you expect the members of the members as a collective to speak on your behalf when you decided to give majority to such a bad government, NBC? Then they should realize that their time matters. Your time matters. Your time matters. When you go and vote, you have to know that the consequences are ahead of you for the next 4 years. The time the Ghanaians gave to John Mahama has shown that they should never again.
Energy sector, the current power cuts. Some people are saying that you made mention of this. You use this as a campaign against John Mahama, and now we are experiencing a worse situation under President Akufo-Addo. Would it reflect in the 2024 election? Would it be something that people will stand on to vote?
If you are comparing 4 years, MPP administration, energy sector is 300 times better than John Mahama.
But we are still experiencing doom so.
Nobody has said we haven't. I'm just saying it's far much better than John Mahama ever did.
You do admit that there's doom so.
That is the word you used. I have never used that word. I've promised you that we are going to work on it. And it's not a work that is a single event. It's a process. And we'll continue to work on it for the energy sector to become better.
Have you heard of calls for a timetable?
Ask those who want it to bring it.
They should bring the timetable.
If there is, I haven't seen any timetable. So when
people are calling,
I say bring a timetable, what do you mean? The ECG says that there is no timetable coming. Why do you want to bring a timetable? What purpose? Why would somebody get up and wish evil or bad for the country? When it is not planned, you can't tell the person. Were you in Ghana under John Mahama? Did you live in this country under John Mahama? Did you live in this country under John Mahama? Did you? I'm asking a question. Did you live?
It was equally worse.
It cannot be equally worse.
But no, MPP use it as a tool against them.
And I'm saying that even if you are talking about that, it was worse under John Mahama than ever now.
Okay, all right. So Ni always talks about gaslighting, right? I mean, is Napo speaking on both sides of his mouth? You know, in one breath, he seemed to admit that they are working on the problem, but then when they say doomso, he says, "Oh, he never used that word doomso."
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, Doc. Like sometimes I hear them and I'm like, what do they take us for, right? And this is the hypocritical nature of, Ghanaian politicians in general, but the arrogance and insensitive behavior seems to be widespread under this government, right? Now, today I was having a chat with somebody on Twitter, and I told the person, see, we actually took granted the honesty and humility of JM's government, and perhaps what we are experiencing under this NPP government maybe is our punishment, right? Then doomso, they said no doomso. Give timetable for us to plan. You said provide your own timetable. Like that kind of insensitivity is through the roof. And I know we'll probably talk about this later on, but at this hospital issue, where the hospital and the baby stuff, the hospital said that they had generators that were working at first, but something happened and their generator was not working. And I'm like, if this guy actually is a responsible guy and gave people kind of the schedule for these outages, you may call it whatever you want, but it's still the doom saw. People are not having power. The hospital could have actually made sure these generators were working to avoid the inconvenience or the problem they had, and that led to a whole lot of a problem. So this timetable thing, providing this thing, is necessary not only for people to plan, but actually in some cases it will save people from losing their income, businesses, and also actually lives, which we saw just a few days ago. So this guy, I don't know. I was surprised of the arrogance, and
in fact, I was actually coming to the posturing and his and I mean what you describe as arrogance, and I'm coming to hijack with this. I mean, like I'm kind of lost for words, because this is somebody who is actually, lobbied to be a running mate and possibly the second, the number 2 citizen if elected into office. Is this what we expect to see from a potential leader in terms of humility and the way he sort of, interacts with journalists and, if you like, the citizen for that matter?
Indeed, they say character is like pregnancy. No matter how you try to hide it, it will show itself. This is the character MPP hid from Ghanaians when they were going about begging, demonstrating every day, calling on our stars to come and join them, rallying and making noise. You know what the white man says? That karma is a biatch. I can't say it because I'm fasting. Karma indeed is a bitch. MPP won the 2016 election because of Dumso. They used Dumso to win the election. And this is why I'll forever respect President Mahama. Like I said the last time, he came out and said, put it on me. It is my problem. I am in government. I am the leader, and I accept responsibility for our inadequacies. Simple. In other words, I respect Ghanaians. I hear you. I understand the damage and harm it is causing us, but be patient with me. Trust me for the mandate that you have given me. And I am giving you the reassurance that I am looking for a long-term solution. And what did he do? He brought Ameridale. He brought Car Power. He brought ESLA. And more and more and more. Now, what are they saying? Because of lack of maintenance, they are now blaming it on transformers. When we know that the issue is not lack of maintenance, it is the issue of funding and the ability to buy fuel to power this system that we have that is providing us with light. How did we get there? Everything is stemming from the fall of our cedi. It is very, very dicey. This situation that we are facing is even going to get worse than where it is today. If they don't come out and accept it and stop playing propaganda or politics with this, and that is the most thing about African leadership. Everything is about politics. It shouldn't be about politics. I remember Dr. Zita proposed a long-term plan. Ghana or Africa should just have a plan where they would have a 10-year systemic plans where if a government comes in and initiates something, by hook or crook, by all means, the next coming government must make sure they see it to completion before they move on to other issues. If we were running our countries like that, then we would not run into problems like this. We even had excess where we were selling to our neighboring countries. What happened to that? What happened to that? Today, IPPs are threatening to shut down. They are bluffing. Not just bluffing because they cannot continue to run the systems because they don't have money or funding to support the systems. Where are we headed? For a man who is supposed to be in charge, a leader, even a class 1 kid will understand the magnitude of the problem at hand and know how to speak to the people of the country to bear with them whilst they are trying to fix or find a solution. Look at how arrogant, insensitive, insulting this man is. Go and bring it as if to say, I don't need you anymore. And I am so glad that they are showing Ghanaians their character so that tomorrow, if something happens or if we come back and ask them not to do what we asked them not to do 2016, especially we those in the diaspora, we went home and we warned them. These people have no plan. They don't know how to do anything. Everything, including laws that were given to John Mahama, was used in putting measures and things down so that they would just come and sit down and spend nyafu, which we have seen happen. All the projects that they are not even able to undertake, funding was solicited for them, free. So all the loans that they've been going for, can you see, have you ever seen them being able to say anything about what they've been able to achieve? All went into packets. All went into packets. And this is why I am so pained and I am so disappointed in us, the youth, in Ghanaians themselves, because they are doing it to themselves. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander. But you know what? Because of our ethnocentric behavior, because Mahama is from here, they will not put pressure. We don't want our people to look bad. Who is suffering? We are all suffering as a people. Our electronic gadgets are blowing. Our businesses are collapsing. People whose lives are dependent on electricity are dying. And yet we are sitting and pretending there's even a blind man. When a blind man says they'll throw you a stone, they are stepping on the stone. So if you are not sleeping and they are trying to wake you up and you are not sleeping and you are pretending to be sleeping, you are wasting your own time.
Okay.
So I think it's about time, like you said, for Ghanaians to come out and demonstrate the same energy with the same energy that they used during Mahama. There was no book, no names in the book in this world, in any book in this world that they didn't call Mahama. But you know what? This man shouldered everything. And I have so much respect for him. He shouldered everything, took responsibility, and indeed, he proved that he is the son of his father. He fixed the problem before leaving office. And we thank him for being a fixer, for being a doer, for being a man of his word, for being a man who loves his people, and for doing what is best for his people. That legacy will follow him and his grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. I'm sure his ancestors are always sitting up and praying and cheering him on. And I pray that Ghanaians would wake up and give him the mandate to come and finish up from where he stopped. Otherwise, we are doomed. Thank you.
All right, Haja. All right. So, I mean, Zita, that's, integrity, accountability, and in fact, the ability to communicate with empathy. Do these things not matter anymore? I mean, you can just see what the guy said in that video. Where's the empathy? Where's the integrity?
Dr. Ghana, African politicians, like Nee rightly said one time, African politicians, I have posted this on Facebook, African politicians like a man who is on heat and trying to, woo a woman. That is the way they move. When they're trying to woo you, they're going to be acting. Once they get you, game over. That is their, you see, they are all men. And the women deal with women. That's the same way they lead. When a man is trying to get you, he'll be, oh, baby, baby, baby. The day he gets you and he marries you, game over. He'll just be talking to you anyhow. That is the habit of African politicians.
No, Zita, I have to protest here. It's not all men.
I was waiting for that protest.
I agree.
You see, I am a sociologist. I'm the only one who is accredited to make generalizations, and I'm making generalizations based on the dominant patterns in society. Every married woman will attest that, oh, when I met my husband, he was so nice. Now that we are in it, 20 years in the marriage, the communication has changed. But my point is, this particular behavior is very typical of the NPP. We see so much of the NPP. We can cite or reference last week, one of my colleagues referenced Nana Addo's conduct in the Volta region during the displacement. Blatant disrespect for the electorate. Same way with my hometown, Aflau chief. He talked about an education block, and Kwame Sefaka in an interview asked Nana Addo. He blatantly said if the chief is that concerned, he should do it himself and through his hand. Consistently, we see this disregard and insensitive nature of members of the incumbent government when they are being held accountable. And so my thing is, I'm not surprised. But again, Africa's and Ghana's energy crisis can only be solved if we have a plan. We need to move away from the politics of, oh, this project is mine, this project is mine, school feeding is mine, national health insurance is mine, this is mine. Because of that type of politics, people want to claim things. We do not have continuity. It is 2024. And like I said on the first show, if Ghana was a man who was 67 and tried to woo me, I would not agree. Because basic water we don't have. Electricity is basic, we don't have. What are we doing? So yes, I think that to land my ship, I think that this behavior is very, very typical of the NPP, where they have gross disrespect and gross disregard for the electorate. But when they want power, they were acting like snakes. And I hope that come December 2024, the electorates are wise and they will not have selective amnesia.
Dr. Ghana, can I say one quick thing?
Yes.
I just want to put it on record, right? The dooms that we are facing right now is caused by a lack of funds. We are broke. The generation issue, that's the power generation issue, was actually solved by JM. That was the problem in JM's Doomsaw, right? Sure. And they established what they call the Energy Sector Levy Act, the ESLA, to pay off the energy debts. And you know what these people did? This NPP government did? They took a loan of 6 billion and used ESLA as collateral. So now the levy that was supposed to pay for the cost with the generation, the money is not there because they've used that as a collateral. Recently, the president and the government has instructed ECG to raise 1 billion Ghana cedis monthly to pay these industry players. This was the job of the ESLA. So you look at a JM who is thinking, that we need to, put some money in some fund somewhere to pay for this problems and debts. And when they came, they just took the money and used it as collateral. Sometimes it surprises me. I'm like, wow, we were food in this one. We were food. Ghanaians were food. Yep.
And also, look, they forget that we're growing. We're a country that is growing every day. And so they don't make room for upgrade or, maintenance. And then, the technical competency is zero. Every day you want to hike up your population, but yet you are not building infrastructure to accommodate the population. Where are we headed? If we take off the lens of propaganda, I'm sure we will be able to come together collectively and fix these problems for a long-term purposes. But because, like everyone here agrees, everyone wants to say that this is my project. And so because it is a legacy problem, we don't want to build on it or expand on it or even find solutions to it because it is not going to come to me. But there are initiatives that are helping your country and not us. So as we are growing and we so much want to be like the West, how are we building our country to accommodate our change in attitude and mindset and also the growth that, we have now?
Okay. All right. Yes, Dr. James, if you want to have a take on this matter.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes. It's very sad that we have people like this who are our leaders. A truly honorable leader or person is one who lives on a personal integrity. All right. So these men, they don't have that. And Napo's statement is just a microcosm of the redundant evidence of the spectacular failure of, or the spectacular arrogance, if I should put it that way, of the NPP men and women who have been ruling us, running the show for the past 8 years. It's very sad. They don't have anything to offer. And I saw him so helpless because he does not have anything to say. So he's comparing John Mahama's era with their 8 years. That 2015, Ghanaians were spending about 60% of their salary on electricity bill. And now you have 8 good years to fix that. As Nii pointed out, yes, President Mahama's administration fixed the problem before they handed over to them. So you were supposed to build on that and make it better. And now, 8 years later, you are telling Ghanaians, look, the current situation is 300 times better than what will happen during NDC time. That's nonsense. That is purely nonsense. I mean, John Mahama's name has become their favorite lexicon, if I should put it that way. They can't say anything without comparing. Why do you have to still compare? When the former president handed over to you 8 years ago and you haven't done anything, my point is that, see, these are men who are driven by greed to just hold on to power, to do anything to make sure that they hold on to power and then to deceive Ghanaians. It's very sad that we have people like this who are still running and then trying to demonstrate that they are the men to rule the country. You recall that at some point, I think the former Minister of Finance was reading his budget and wanted to include a line of expenditure, something like that, for Qatar Defense War. And this same minister, Napo, said that if that was included in the budget, he was going to lead people in Kumasi to demonstrate against the government. Can you believe that? Is this someone who is a national leader? No, absolutely. He doesn't have what it takes to be a leader. And to have the idea that he's likely to become a vice presidential nominee, it makes me laugh. It makes me wonder what the country is becoming. What kind of leaders are we having? He has no empathy. He is very arrogant. And the arrogance is just, as I said, a microcosm of what we have within the NPP broadly. And it is very sad. So Ghanaians need to wake up to see where these people are running the country. They have no plan to fix the problem. All they have to do is to compare. Even if it's better, or even if it's where right now, it's better than it was 8 years ago. How? It's hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so moving on.
Mark, can I just, one quick thing. When I was preparing for the show, I saw a YouTube video of an African-American couple who are based in Ghana. Again, in as much as we are very critical of Nana Addo's government, one of the key things they did that is instrumental is, the year of return and then making Ghana a destination for the descendants of slaves. And so you look online and you monitor, a lot of African Americans have relocated and moved to Ghana. Some of them are building in Ghana and hoping to move to Ghana. But when I was preparing for the show and I was, trying to find videos, it was sad to have seen an African American, because of course they are reporting real time and they're talking about the challenges of being in Ghana. And therefore it is blocking these, people coming to Ghana bringing, and again, their move is not just they come into Ghana, they are bringing expertise, knowledge, skills, and we need all that to build Ghana. So for them to put that there, and they have a broader, because America, because of the racial dynamics, if you can go somewhere where your race and being Black is not an issue, they will go there. And so that to me stood out, that they are here complaining, or if you come to Ghana, there's no constant electricity and all that, your food was going to get rotten and all that. That was just sad to watch. And so in as much as Ghana is being positioned, like all my colleagues have said, we need to put these systems in place. Consistent electricity and water are important. We can't be marketing Ghana as a destination for people who want to be in a safer and a welcoming environment, and we don't have the basic amenities.
And Dr. Zita, these people are running away from this problem and not trying to make it a problem because they know that it also, like I said earlier, is about the city. They don't want them to be exposed about the city. The revenue from this energy sector is what we call it. is dollar dominated. So the payables are in dollar and the receivables are in cedis. So if the dollar goes high, it affects everything. Remember, we are using dollar to pay and we are collecting in cedis. So at the end of the day, it puts a problem, a toll on people's pockets, and also we're not able to generate the money back from what we have used to pay for the consumption and all that. But then at the end of the day, no matter what, as the man said before, when the reality on grounds does not match with what your narratives, definitely you'll be exposed. I don't want to quote him because it's so annoying that he had the mind to conceive a thing like that, but yet cannot conceive a solution to a problem, even as the economic management chair. It's so disheartening. It's so disheartening.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get there. We Bawumia is not going to be left out of this show. So, but anyway, so now let's look at sort of the aftermath of all these problem, right? The doomsaw problem, the denial that there's no doomsaw, and the failure to produce a schedule that would let people plan properly. There are real material impacts of that action. And then we have a video here. In fact, when I first saw the video, I couldn't watch through the entire video. I had to stop somewhere along the line and I had to watch it again because I felt it was important for us to play it in this show. But I mean, it's a sad situation. And so if our producer could play the first video on this issue, we really appreciate it.
Baby way or the CPAP, so there's oxygen but no flow meter to connect. This baby is on CPAP. There's no light to connect, off. No flow meter to even connect with the oxygen. If we don't get light in few minutes, probability that we might lose a lot of babies is high. The whole world is full. No CPAP, no lights. Everywhere is off. Everywhere is off. Babies are in data. This baby is not fine. CPAP is off. No light to connect. No flow meter to connect to the oxygen. There's oxygen but no flow meter. This is not right. We have about 10 critically ill babies, all on CPAP. The whole place is dark. If you don't get light in few minutes, the probability that we might lose a lot of babies is high. This is not funny at all. Samajeno intensive care units where critically ill babies are being monitored. Everywhere is off. Everywhere. Babies are on CPAP. Babies are on CPAP. No flow meter. No extra.
Yeah, I mean, producer, if we could play the other one, the one with the
light.
The lady lost
the whole general hospital. Baby, Yajiawo, we are painful, Nkola fresh, enemy, sum or show, or my baby glass, in Tontum Sujina. Mrs. Taswababe, on also never the machine, Omudumi and Amakola and Swash and Quantisian, the Banek Kahon Kolami and Sankwana, or my Shiromoa, and Yefe. Sorry, in Kolami and Unkwan or my Shiromoa, which is very bad. So up to now, you saw Kanye into the next Ibium, no, nice and Kolanu one you, na Sebu, Ganam Penny for Sananka, yes, so Marcia. In Kamuba be need to be a muni drew enana. Into Munitema, San Colano mo banana, Bibia Yagia or hospital Bibia, in case you dum cania. Yes, Remo pa, dear cause of the Nian. A Nian, cause Nipping Yiniji Mukra, or young crown and Nipadinam Sisi Aden, a dear crown.
Yeah, I mean, James, where is the outrage? As I mentioned earlier on, every Friday, there were a group of so-called elites in Ghana that would wear expensive polo shirts right? And then parade and congregate and call themselves Occupy what? Ghana, right? It was Occupy Ghana. I mean, where are they? You know, I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the problem is that Ghanaians were really shocked by the extent of NPP men and women's lack of vision for the country. Because remember, they campaigned against the NDC government in a way that was never seen before, just to grab power and hold on to it. And so Ghanaians thought they were going to do better. Nana Akufo-Addo was always looking for power for more than how many years? More than 3 decades, I should say. And finally, he was close to it. So Ghanaians thought, well, this man could probably deliver. And Dr. Bawumia was used as his attack dog to attack, the integrity of the former president, John Mahama. And so they did very well to succeed. Now, when they were given power, they couldn't live up to. So Ghanaians were really shocked. They are still thinking about that. All we have to do, all NDC has to do, or Ghanaians generally, is to wake them up, give them that energy, let them see. They themselves are so shocked to the point that they are confused because they thought NPP was going to really be the savior government to deliver them, to take them to heaven. And they have not. They've done the opposite. They've destroyed all the institutions of the country. They basically poisoned the roots of the country, the lack of infrastructure. Can you imagine? And then having the audacity to talk about Ghanaians should come out with their own timetable or time schedule or schedule for doom so. By so doing, admitting that there's a big problem. They could not fix this problem or they could not improve on it for the past 8 years. And so the lack of infrastructure and the fact that we don't have energy to supply to businesses to make life a little more meaningful for people is just a complete exposure of what NPP government has not been able to do. They have failed. And so if the energy is not there, Occupy Jubilee House or Occupy Jubilee, what's the name? Jubilee House, what they call it?
Lobby House.
Lobby House.
Yeah.
Of course, Occupy Ghana. If Ghanaians are not able to mobilize, it's because they are really processing the failure, the magnitude of the problem, believing that NPP was going to save them, save the country, make the country truly a paradise, and to see the opposite, they just can't believe that. So mobilizing them is very important. Mobilizing them to make sure that they chase NPP out of power. Napo was talking about the consequences of voting, right? When you use your term, there are consequences. And so Ghanaians have seen that all they have to do is to mobilize themselves, gather the energy. Otherwise, the country is going to be completely destroyed by these men and women whose parochial interest, whose interest largely is to grab power and hold on to without having any plan, no vision to fix the problem. How can you live in a country and where when you are in trouble, they could rush you as a hospital, you don't have power. Children are dying just left and right, and they don't have any sensitivity for that. It's just very sad. Sad is just an understatement, but I don't know what word I could use to describe how I feel. And these are the people who are really running this country. What is the future of the country? What kind of vision they have? And Dr. Bawumia is talking about giving him, the wheel to drive the country forward. Where is he going?
We will get there.
Thank you.
We will get there. I mean, James, you are. But so anyway.
So I don't have. Yeah, it's just sad. Very sad.
So, okay, well, I mean, so James is saying that essentially what you're trying to say is that Akufo-Addo conned these so-called elites into believing in him, right?
Yeah.
But Zita, where is the integrity, right? Or if Haja, you want to go with it, where is the integrity? Because
Dr. Zita, I hope you don't mind. For me as a mother, it kills me. It takes away your spirit. It's very devastating, very sad to watch. If I have carried children, I lost twins in 2019, and so I know how it feels to carry and bond with a child for 9 months, only to go home without the child. I remember when they took my twins out because I sat on the plane and they were distressed, and so they died. It took me a while to accept that I am no longer pregnant. So I can understand, and I'm, paying for these mothers and also the children, because they didn't have to go through that. Our system failed them, our government failed them, and also we, the citizens, failed them at this point. When a government lacks respect, transparency, and also honesty, this is where it leads us to. Even now, I'm afraid for the girl who recorded the video, the nurse who recorded the video, because we all know the history of this government's vindictive nature. That is why nobody is out on the street. A government that is already poisoning even they themselves because of power. And you want me to come out and demonstrate? A government that will make people, police pour hot water in canisters, pouring and spraying people hot water, throwing tear gas in during peaceful demonstrations. A government that is gagging and threatening and preventing journalists from speaking against or exposing their wrongs. We saw the difference during President Mohammed's time. There was no any threat or anything whatsoever. Even we, those who believed in him, spoke against some of the policies, and it was okay. It's okay. They say a dog can bite a child, but it doesn't get to the bone. That were some of our positions. That was some of our positions some of us took. But when you see these things now, Tema General Hospital just issued a statement that they didn't lose a life. They didn't lose a life. You can tell the pressure that made them to come out and issue that statement. Whether or not they lost a life, we know that there were children under plans. And this is what is upsetting to me. We want to copy the West so much but we lack the vision to plan against eventualities like this, against things that we cannot see. We moved from oxygens to plants. But then in the white man's land, it has to take a lot for power to be lost, right? But we want to be like them. We are introducing their gadgets and things. Nothing wrong with us growing, our country. But then we should prepare for such times where, unforeseen things can happen. So for children to be lying in incubators and all that, for them to come out and tell us that nobody has died. So were we waiting for someone to die before we talk about it? Do we know that some children right now will not be normal because they are lacking oxygen to their brains? It will take time for us to see all these problems. So the lack of respect and accountability is what is killing me. Journalists, I keep saying, came out, celebrities came out, business owners came out. So there was an old lady who even said that if Mama does not bring the light, they will strip naked and walk in the streets without things, pants and clothes. An old lady who was about 80 years. And then we all, saw the seriousness of such demonstrations. But now, against our will, we can't demonstrate as citizens, which is our constitutional right. We can't speak against a government. They would come and pick you up at 3 a.m. in your house to a concentration camp, if you like, and beat the hell out of you. We are back to slavery. We are enslaved in our own countries by our own people, the people that we voted for, the people we handed power to. So sometimes I ask myself, where did we go wrong? What did we do to MPP to deserve this? What did we do? So all the things that they said, in my tribe, they say, I will not spit and go back and lick my own spit.
Say it in your language.
That is what they have done. They spat and now they are eating their own spit. Disgusting. These things should worry and concern every Ghanaian, especially our health. Now, doctors are not even sure when to schedule operations Because imagine if you are in the middle of an operation and such a thing happens. Do you take the blame as a doctor? Does is it the patient's choice to be there, or who do you put the blame on? So if such a doctor should lose a patient, it goes against their career. When I am choosing a doctor, I look at the record of a doctor. How many patients that died in the hands of the doctor should concern me? How many patients have reviewed him to be a credible or a competent doctor? It's my business. So imagine under such circumstances, and the doctor loses 3-4 patients. It goes against the hard work that the doctor has done all these years of becoming a doctor. We have nurses. Now half of Ghanaian nurses are out of our country. Why? Because of issues like this, because of problems like this. We are so concerned. We concern ourselves with, amassing wealth, building, enriching our families at the expense, at the detriment of our own citizens. Who are we representing, if I may ask?
Yeah.
And why are we preventing people from talking? We know this guy, not Manasseh. What's this guy's name? The Bongo guy. What's his name? He was the one who worked for radio. They arrested him. No, not Manasseh. What's his name? His name comes and goes. They arrested him and jailed him.
Media guy.
No, Bongo Ideas.
It was a Bongo Ideas, and then there was another. A guy who said, I think he's Frafra too. They arrested him for speaking against Nanado. Anybody who talks about this government is a threat to the government. Where is the transparency? Where is our rights as citizens? Where is the democracy that we practice? So they are not quiet, Professor Mark, if you're asking. They are being guarded. They are afraid. Journalists are now being bought. Remember Arimiao announced when he came out with this exposé, the current president came out and said that he will adopt the Anas Arimiao's strategy and use it to help him with corruption. What happened? They went after him and even exposed him. We sat there and a journalist was killed, Ahmed Swale. Up to now, we haven't been able to find the killers, but we know who the killers are. So people are now afraid. We live in a country where now you talk and you die. We live in a country where now you speak and expose the rot, and then something happens to you. If you don't vanish, then your family will live under threats and all that. So we have to keep talking. People like us who have the knowledge, who knows how to go about these things, have to come out and speak. Ghanaians are quiet, not out of their choice. They are all afraid. The Yvonne Nelsons and all that, they don't want to be targeted. She's there writing brofu. How many people can read the brofu that she's writing? You came out and demonstrated. We want to see the same thing. All the Occupy Ghana people. Why? Because they have been jailed. Do you know how many times they've gone to bail them out? They have been locked up because they're speaking against the government. So I think it's about time that we free ourselves from this slavery that we live in by voting them out. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I think, Hajia, you may be letting some of them off the hook because, I don't want to believe that some of them it's as a result of, but we acknowledge the fact that, the current administration has created a culture of silence, to go back to the old.
Yeah, either in their pockets.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather go with the idea they're in their pockets than to say that they are scared for their lives because, to begin with, I've never really seen any of them say anything to suggest that all they do is just be quiet, right? They don't really say anything to suggest that they are against what the current administration is doing. So I'm not going to go as far as saying that they are among the group of people that are scared for their lives.
Prof, don't underestimate the vindictiveness of this government. They are very vindictive.
Yes,
very vindictive.
But then again, and this should be a larger conversation about the systems that are supposed to check politicians, the systems of accountability, right? Citizens, demonstrations, and for instance, the work of journalists and all that. I think sometimes we place so much premium on the material stuff associated with democracy that we begin to really relegate some of these other even like fundamental structures of democracy to the background, right? I think this government has to also be seriously measured by how they have either undermined or strengthened democracy. And this idea of people not being able to say what they want to say, but how to, duck whenever they say something, they either have to come back and eat their words or whatever may be the case. This should be, I even believe that it should be the foremost yardstick in measuring the performance of a government in power. And we shouldn't fail in always making that point. But Zita, you can take this wherever you like, because, it is what it is.
Thank you, Dr. Ghana. I'm glad Hajia went. You can see the sentiment of a mother in her presentation. I am not a mother, but I can confidently say that I'm the rich and the wonderful auntie who shows up for the birth of all her nephews and nieces. And just last year, my nephew was born and he was in the NICU. And again, we need to understand that women who give birth to preterm babies often go through cesarean section because the baby is in distress, so they have to take the baby out. And that is what my sister-in-law was going through. And as an involved auntie, I was there in the NICU. You go there, we spend 30 minutes. You can't hold the child. You have tubes everywhere to make sure they're being given, milk and food, and they're just there. And my little nephew had joined this at the time as well and was put under a blue light. My point is we need to understand the impact of pregnancy even on women. And one of my research areas that is gender and health outcomes, maternal and infant mortality. The numbers are high for Black women, even for Black women in the Western world. In America, 55.3 Black women die per 100,000 live births, which is maternal mortality. In the UK, it is 40 Black women per 100,000 live births. In the Western world, Black women have the highest maternal mortality. We don't want to talk about Africa where the health systems are bad and there's a lot of medical negligence. And so having this issue of power inadequacy and power cut, it's just unacceptable in the NICU. It is unacceptable. But again, Hajia raised a particular concern. The job security of this particular nurse, it's at stake because of witch hunting. And so she has brought an important issue to light. But again, is her job secured? These are the concerns. Like pregnant women go through a lot. A video of mine is trending on TikTok, and I've been getting backlash because, somebody saying that women are not gods for giving birth. I said, no, women are gods for giving birth, and women are the superior gender when it comes to procreation because they go through a lot. A lot of people come out of pregnancy, they have autoimmune diseases that can never go away. I know a friend who lost her life because she got lupus after having her first child. They have high blood pressure. The video is almost more than 5,000 likes, and women are talking about the complications. Somebody said I was paralyzed. Somebody said I lost my vision after having a child. Somebody said I have high blood pressure. People are talking about incontinence and other health conditions. So look at everything a woman is going through, and she has to reconcile the fact that her baby is gone due to a preventable situation like the lack of power. I think we need to do well. It's 2024 and Ghana is failing on all metrics, and it is sad. So this again, to land my ship, raises issue of infant and maternal mortality. And if we look at the data, not just Ghana is doing bad, but Africa-wide, we are doing bad. And I always say, a man must be able to compensate me to go through the process of pregnancy. If not, I'm going to keep it like a slave queen and just keep enjoying my life.
Well, where are the other political parties, right? I don't see any other political parties involved in these conversations, but even the NDC, the major political party in this in the current political space in Ghana, are their right priorities in the right place in terms of really talking about these kitchen table issues, these issues that have real impacts on people's lives and livelihoods? Are they putting their priorities in the right place in talking about these issues? Because I've observed in the past 2 weeks, there's a lot of conversations about injunction. I don't know what all that does in terms of, it's about legal matters. Are these the things that a political party should be focused on?
Yep, and you are definitely right, Doc. See, when one of the main issues, or let's say two, Mama lost the election. Let's say three main issues that the NPP were able to drum home. First one is Dumso, right? Dumso. Second one was dollar, and there was a very a video of Kwame Sifakain saying that Mama had two problems, and they all start with D. One is Dumso, the other is dollar. And today, the dollar is worse. We'll talk about the exchange rate later, but it's extremely. And whatever is going on with the currency is, we don't know what they are doing. They are just making it worse each day. Now, if you look at the so the exchange rate, the Dumso. If you look at Dumso is back, and they don't even want to give timetable. Now, this is where the NDC have to, capitalize on it and stop focusing on other issues, because Dumso is bread and butter issue, right? People need power to work, to generate income. People need, like we said, the hospitals, they need power to save lives. So it's bread and butter livelihood issue, right? So they shouldn't allow themselves to be kind of, steered into different conversations. They should stay on topic. And the other last one that kind of, was one of the topics where that kind of people thought Mahama didn't handle well was a Woyoma issue, right? Again, this is just, kind of judgment debt. And if you look at the judgment debt that these folks have given out, it's crazy. But it's like nobody's talking about it. And that is the main issue, right? So I guess maybe when we get into the election season proper, maybe they will get their act right. But for now, I don't know why they are allowing themselves to be, taken into from the main ring into the different arena, right? Because the issues are there. And it's like, it's clear, everybody sees it. Just drum it home. And I understand the MPP have been very kind of controlling with the media and all that, vindictive and all that. But still, they should find a way to just stay on topic, talk about this issue, and especially the domestic debt exchange. This thing have robbed a lot of people of their hard-earned money. The government is not providing a lot of resources, employment and things, and people's savings are being given haircuts. Mm-hmm. Just like that. You have your savings somewhere, you go, they say we can give you around only 70%, just because of the government's inability, inactions, or some actions that have caused the whole economy to come down. And that's the bread and butter issue that the NDC have to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, as a Ghanaian who doesn't live in Ghana yet, my checkbook is impacted by conditions in Ghana. I would say the opposition party should focus on the real material stuff. I mean, not unnecessary legal banter here and there with Supreme Court and all these stuff. Let's deal with the bread and butter issues first. Once we get to a certain level, then we can address those matters too, even though they may be important in one way or the other. But again, so this is a good segue. Yes.
Professor Agana, if I may come in quickly, if that's okay. Yes. Yes. I think you're making a very good point about what the focus should be for the NDC. And it's very true. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah once said, organization decides everything. All right. So organizing is the key to unseat this government. A government led by, as Martin Amidu once said, the mother serpent of corruption, who has sat on the throne for 8 years, and his protege is somebody he has trained to just inherit him. I think the fight should be on all levels. Every level should not be spared at all. The legal ones, yes, that's very true. It has to be taken on. The bread and butter issues will have to be. So it's about organizing to unseat this government. So every issue must be, and then it's very going to be hard. It's not going to be easy to unseat the government that is, as I said, led by the mother serpent of corruption. Is going to be very hard. But I think NDC is doing a good job. We need to do more, very true, to really get the message to the people so that we can save the country.
Okay. So, I mean, it's a good segue into our next topic, more about the economy. And, this, again, the digital age keeps on giving, right? And then we have a set of videos to play, and then it will lead us into that conversation as well. So, yeah, if our producer can do us the honors. Okay.
Our economies ourselves. You cannot mess up and sit down and hope that the IMF is going to come and rescue you. No, that is not their remit. The development of our economies is in our own hands. It's in our own hands. Nobody's going to do it for us. And we better think about that and better take the right policies to develop our economy.
With market determination of prices, exchange rate movements are the most important indicator of underlying macroeconomic fundamentals. As the saying goes, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate.
Yes. Our economy is Monfastiano Emami Mumemistiano Naminchicano Enco baby Ayasiako Mumemistiano.
All right.
Chairman. I don't know where he needs the steering to, whether he's driving he wants to drive us to the ditch further or what. I don't know what he's talking about, but this guy, I really looked up to that guy, man. Like, seeing, and again, going back to the girlfriend analogy, like seeing your girlfriend, breaking your heart, and it's so sad. Like, I feel I've been deceived, betrayed. Like, I'm really heartbroken by this guy, seriously, because I really had so much expectation for it. To be frank, the reason why I kind of gave NPP a chance, most of it was because of this guy, because I knew with his background and knowledge, he would be different from this politician, but he's actually worse, because coming from where he's coming from and some of the things he says these days, I'm like, wow. This is really a missed opportunity for somebody of his, background. So let's talk about the exchange rate.
Yes.
One thing I really don't like politicians doing is promise solutions. It looks like when I don't know whether it's the hunger or what. They said hunger usually makes you kind of smarter, make you think smart. I don't know whether it's the hunger of politicians. When they are in opposition, they only kind of come up with these brilliant solutions when they are in opposition, right? They will tell you all the right things to be done in opposition, but when they come to power, it looks like the only thing they care about is corruption. We all know. For me, I have a personal opinion that the exchange rate, the way to deal with it, it's not Ghana fighting it alone. It has to be an African problem. But let's forget about that. These guys use exchange rate as a means of campaigning. So yes, they have to face the music when it comes to how they've made this problem worse, right? I believe, right, and we all know in economics, this guy is an economic guy. He knows that the way we can get this exchange rate to improve is to reduce our import and increase our exports. This thing everybody knows is basic in economics, because we've become so much heavily dependent on import that's what is affecting the exchange rate.
Yeah.
And when they came, what did they do? The only thing they did close remotely to solving the problem is they say planting for food and jobs. These guys wasted so much money on this agriculture scam. And even after some time, we were facing shortages, even still with the imports we were doing. They only were concerned in creating a vehicle to actually, amass wealth for themselves. They put a lot of money into this planting for food and jobs. We didn't even know what help. It didn't provide jobs. It didn't provide food. So what did they do? It was just a vehicle to amass wealth for themselves. Let's look at some numbers then.
Yeah. Okay.
NDC came in. When NDC came in, the dollar CD rate was around 1.4. When they were leaving power in 2016, 16, it was around 4.2. So if you look right there, that's Baumia said we shouldn't look at the numbers. So fine, let's not look at the numbers, which even a very I don't want to use anywhere, but a very unwise thing to say we shouldn't use the exchange rate numbers on it, so we should just use a percentage change. So let's look at percentage change. NDC came 1.4, they were going 4.2. That's 156 percent change. Around 2020, the CD dollar rate was 5.6. 2020 is 5.6. 2022 8.4. Now we are the official one is around 13, but don't forget whatever rates BOG is saying. The real rates are decided by the consumer banks and payment platform. Now I've seen payment platforms charging around 14 cedis per dollar, right? So if you look, let's be fair. Let's take 13. If you look at 13, the percentage change is 210%. So even look at the numbers they say we should look. And let's forget about the actual numbers. Let's look at the percentage change. He's performed worse than what the NDC did. But with exchange, we cannot just look at the percentage change. If you have 13, if we are being told that you can buy $1 for 13, what it means is that you need a lot more cedis to buy the dollar. What it means is that companies cannot no longer trade internationally. We have people cannot pay their debt, because if you got a loan and it was $10,000 in 2 years ago, now you need more cedis to be able to convert to dollars to pay, and that's bread and butter issue. So fine, I know the exchange rate you cannot control, but there are policies that can actually help in making sure this thing is stable over a long period of time. And that is the problem. You have a government who you know the problem. What did he say in the video? When the fundamentals are weak, they're saying you know this thing, and he came, and what have you done since you've taken over office? This guy is. I'm so ashamed that I believed in him, because he's been a colossal failure, and he walks around saying we should give him steering. We'll give him the steering of a bicycle, not the car.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Zita, in fact, I have a book here by Manasseh Azora Winnie. Give me a second. Yes. And I mean, the book is titled The Fourth John. It was written in 2019. And I'm just reading a portion of it. It says, a prayer for the city. In March 2014, the General Overseer of Christian Action Faith Ministries, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, made national and international headlines when he led his church to pray for the revival of the fast depreciating Ghana currency, the cedi. The influential preacher, in a charged atmosphere in his church on one Sunday, said, I hold up the cedi with prayer, and I command the cedi to recover, and I declare the cedi will not fall. It will not fall any further. I command the cedi to climb. I command the resurrection of the cedi. I command the release a miracle for the economy. Now, desperate, and Manasseh says, desperate situations, they say, call for desperate measures. And this was one of them. The US dollar, which had sold at 2.2 Ghana cedis on the local foreign exchange market before Christmas the previous year, now sold at 2.6 by March. So this is the change that actually required a prayer, right? I mean, so again, I go back to my question: what is going on, right? Where are the civil society organizations? I mean, this was so dramatic that it resonated with a lot of Ghanaians, as if something pressing was happening. So where are they? Why are they quiet now? I mean, compare the current. I mean, we send money home, and sometimes when the exchange rate is worsening for Ghana, we think it's a good thing because we're able. But for me, it got to a point where I was even scared for Ghana at the rate at which the cedi was depreciating. I was no longer excited that sending money home would amount to something big. I actually was scared for Ghana at some point. But in the midst of all that, the outrage, quiet, no outrage, no prayer, the Christian Council, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, everyone is quiet. Take it from here. I mean, I don't know,
Because at the end of the day, we know that, Mark, what's going on. Because at the end of the day, we know that the so-called pastors or men of God are all politicians in hiding, and they have allegiances. I say two things destroy Africa and Ghana. They are the double P, politicians and pastors. Religion is an opium of the people. The worst thing that happened to the African is the white man's Christianity. They are all entrepreneurs, scammers, and businessmen on the pulpit. They are not doing God's work. The same energy. These were the same pastors who went to the Volta River, the Volta Lake to pray doomsaw. They said, they are praying that. I vividly remember praying that, there'll be enough water flow, so electricity. How are you going to arrest the dollar with prayer? Even the Bible says, give what belongs to God to God and what belongs to Caesar to Caesar. Jesus mandated that we pay taxes. So where is it that where is it in the Black mind and in the African mind that we substitute being proactive with religion? You will see young people, instead of going to find a job or engaging their cognitive abilities to get creative, they will be in Duncan Williams's church, Jericho Hour, Wednesday, 9 a.m., praying when they're supposed to engage. So yes, it's a system that is designed to keep people down, and religion and pastors play a pivotal role, play significant role in making sure the ordinary person remains exploited and remains docile. They are playing their role, and we don't see the same energy here because they have been bought. They are in the pockets of people, and so they are not able to come out and give the same energy. When it is their political power, their political people in power, the energy is different. They move differently, and if it's opposition, they act differently. They call people out. It's just, for me, I saw when you sent the excerpt on our private page, I read and I said, this is ridiculous. They did the same thing with the Volta River Authority thing when we were having doomsaw under the NDC, and nothing happened. God will not come and solve your problem. He has given you the brain, and they say the brain is the what? It's the worst thing to waste. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. We need to engage our mind. We need to hold people accountable. Ghana's problem is bad economic system. And Baumia was talking about IMF. These are imperialist institutions. There is no way they will solve our problem. IMF came with structural adjustment. There are conditionalities to these loans that keep us in a subservient position. So any politician who begins to talk about IMF, and you have lost me in the discussion and in the discourse, because these are institutions that are designed to keep the African government and African economies down. So I have always said it, our economy is different. We cannot be copying and pasting. They are in a knowledge and a service economy. We are not even at industrial level. We can't feed ourselves. So these conditionalities and their structural adjustment policies and programs, it will not work for us. We need to create a system that will work for us. We need to duplicate the way the Chinese did. They figured out a system that will work for them, their culture, their economy, and who they are. And that is what we need to do. Bawumia has failed. I can commend Nii for being honest and saying that from somebody who is an academic, who come from a strong background, he had hopes. I can appreciate Nii for being honest that he was very expectant that he would do something. But again, we've seen that the MPP and Bawumia don't know what he's doing. Once I hear IMF, you've lost me. We need we need to create a system for Ghana, for Africa that would deliver. We can't keep copying and pasting. We need to industrialize. The education system must change. You can't go and do agric and you're a teller in the bank. Our Kwame Nkrumah Science and University of Technology, we need to close our mining regulations. Most people, that's why I always say that Ghanaians even vote without knowing. How many people have read the Mining Act? We lease our mining resources to foreign companies for 30 years. Meanwhile, most governments are not in power beyond 8 years maximum, and they are giving contracts for 30 years, selling the destiny of our nation. We need people on how to develop inventions for us to what? Do our own mineral extraction. And these are the things we need, radical evolution. So anybody who is not talking about, cutting off the Western world, rechanging our education system, and being able to solve our problems and domestically find ways to do it like China did at some point to put them where we are, I'm not listening. Bawumia is a colossal failure. The MPP is the biggest disappointment of our time. And I don't even want to get on the pastors. They are businessmen. They are scammers that are using the name of God. And I will land my ship, just like the white colonizers did. They came as three things: missionary, merchants, and what? Military. That is it. They work hand in hand. The missionary converted our mind, the merchant stole from us, and they use military force. And that is the religion that was given to us. The same religion that was given to us by the white people, the foundation is the same. Our local pastors are missionary, they are merchants, and they are military. They are using the three ways to oppress the people, and they are keeping the people down.
All right. Well said. Haja, Bawumia wants the steering wheel.
In 1945, when the IMF sat, or the countries, the 190 countries, so when they sat down to deliberate on issues that concern the West, I asked myself, where was Africa? Were we there? Were we given a seat? So how is IMF our business or our only source of survival, that every time either a government has to go to IMF or a government is not going to IMF? I perfectly agree, or totally agree with my co-panelist, Dr. Zita. It's about time we apply common sense. And this is why I was saying that we need to, shift. And I know she'll not agree with what I'm going to say, shift away from, education, and also, try to put in common sense, where it needs to be. In Bawumia and their government, it's a problem of common sense. You came in. Look, presently, there's no any economic indicator that they have done anything good for Ghana except the damages. So you ask yourself, why were you voted? What were the things you were saying? What did it mean to you? Just use your common sense. You are bashing somebody who is sitting on the seat and doing their best to correct some mistakes that were done in the past and also to implement their own initiatives. You are sitting down and rallying people to condemn even some of the good initiatives that you have no clue or had no clue about. The person is running and soliciting funding to be able to fund those initiatives. You are bashing them for going there to solicit the funding. We all heard Bawumia talk about IMF. We are not going to IMF, and key members of the MPP talked about we're not going to IMF. Today, IMF is their safe haven. And as a result of that, they are not even able to pass a bill that is a ball of contention in our country right now because of foreign funding that they are expecting. What a shame. What a failure. You ask yourself, is Bawumia a human being at all? What does Bawumia want to say again for Ghanaians to, even take him serious? That's the question. Sometimes when someone begin a conversation with me and they say, "Hey, Haja, you this your brother," then my neck is beginning to hurt. Then you can't help but bow your head in shame. This is a guy whom, like my colleague said, people had trust in him because of his age, because of his background, coming from a background of economics and background of finance, being the Deputy Bank of Ghana governor. that people thought had, and sometimes the way he talks authoritatively, nodding his head with a smirk on his face, it just kills me. It's like he's mocking Ghanaians. He's talking something that's not funny. You see him laughing. At a time like this, Bawumia is still making promises, is still insulting the intelligence of Ghanaians, is still taking us for a fool, is still making promises that he has no clue how he is going to, come about those promises. And yet he's telling us he was a mate, and now he wants to steer. I remember when I was learning how to drive, even a motorbike, I was watching how they were doing the, gears and everything. The very day I sat on it, not knowing they were applying common sense and skill and patience, I sat and it took me inside someone's kitchen and I almost got burned. I still have, burn marks on my back because of that. It's easy. They say talk is cheap. It's easy for you to sit on the bench and criticize and call out your, leaders or people that are working, but in our case, we are asking them to sit up. We are asking them to do right, to tell the people the truth. We have failed. We did not know that this was how it is. Enough is enough. We want to hand over the power to those who can, to people who want to talk and actually do. Mr. Talk and Do talked and he did, which is John Mahama. If you look at the initiatives John Mahama took, the developmental projects John Mahama brought to our country, all of them are in areas and sectors that Ghanaians need, not just for our economic growth, for our own uses as what? Citizens, as a people. We're talking about health, we're talking about farming, we're talking about roads. Which one of them don't we need as a people to grow? They came and said that we want to investigate these things and put a hold on all of those projects, delaying or derailing the growth of our country, came and imposed taxes on us. And at the end of the day, we are still paying those taxes. He came and said that the taxes that I and my government sat down and convinced you to accept were wrong. And yet there's no apology to any Ghanaian. There's no, acceptance of wrong to any Ghanaians, or, there's no remorse, there's no empathy, there's no seriousness. Yet he's coming back to tell me, okay, those were just mere mistakes that I made. I didn't think that the implementation of those taxes, I didn't think that the mistakes or the insults, I didn't think that the promises were that hard for me to accomplish. So because of that, I've learned my lesson, and so give me now the Monday, the steer. Even though I'm still learning how to drive, even though I don't even know at what time I should step on the clutch and change the gear, I will still land you safely. I'll still take you. If they tell you that the pilot that is coming is a learner pilot, would you board the plane? That is the question I want to ask Ghanaian. This is a mate who is telling you to ask to bring him as a driver. A mate who has not driven for you to see is telling you, okay, now I want to take the thing. So you want to be used as try and error. You want them to come and continue with the hardship they've imposed on Ghanaians, with the problems that they have left for your children, your future leaders to come and carry. You want him to come and add more to it. So as for Bawumia, to be honest, I can't even stand hearing anything from him about him, because at the end of the day, all I see is a man insulting us. All I see is a man lying through his teeth. Okay. All I see is a man making or repeating promises that can never be fulfilled. All I see is a man taking Ghanaians for granted. And all I see is a man who lacks credibility, who has no respect for himself. Talk less the people of Ghana. Okay. Enough is enough.
All right. So what Hajia is saying is that if the driver himself knows C-top, how much more they meet, right? Chairman James,
yes,
you can have the last bite on this matter.
Yes, thank you. I think a lot has been said about the failure of this administration, and then for Bawumia to be out there and actually asking Ghanaians to, give him an opportunity so we can start on a clean slate. He said that the other day, and now saying we should give him the steer so he can drive us. Dr. Azita said it, or whether he's going to, or maybe my brother Nee said it, whether he's going to drive us into the ditch finally, we don't know. But the point is this. This is what I'm taking out of this. Bawumia is a walking contradiction. He said all kinds of things and is still saying the opposite of it right now. What I'm actually thinking about is, who exactly is this guy called Bawumia? Let's take a step back, right? We know all the problems, but why does he have the audacity and everything about him to even talk to us this way? Knowing very well that his policies have failed for the past 8 years, he hasn't done anything to deserve to even, stand out there and tell Ghanaians, look, give me the opportunity so I can drive this car to a better destination. What does it take Ghanaians for? So that's what I'm concerned about. Can we take a step back and then see who exactly we're dealing with and how the NDC can actually strategize to deal with this guy once and for all? He says things with the level of confidence and impunity and laughing and giggling, that sort of thing at the same time. I mean, when he knows he's lying through his teeth, I think his strategy is that he knows he cannot win Ghanaians. He just have to go out there and say anything, throwing everything around so that something will catch something for him. That's all. That's his strategy. And NDC should not underestimate this guy, because he's going to continue to lie and lie and lie. There's nothing so credible about him. His credibility is zero. So why does he still talk about things like this when he knows that he is not on point? Ghanaians have seen him. So how can the NDC just basically paint this guy in a way that will bring him down completely? That is what I'm trying to think about. It also tells me about his dangerous obsession. He has a very dangerous obsession to do anything, to be determined to grab power and hold on to power. That is his goal. Nothing else that he is going to do. So again, my only concern, and for us all to be thinking about, is who exactly is this guy? Why is he talking this way? Why is he still talking like he has done something so good for Ghanaians? He should hide. If he has what he calls shame, this guy should not be on national TV at all to say anything. If we all can, just Ghanaians everywhere, could take a step back and see who is this guy, and everybody should come out with something, a strategy to defeat him, to make sure the country stays afloat, for the next administration, NDC administration, to do something and restore the integrity of the country, to give Ghanaians hope. That would be a good thing for us to do.
Okay. All right.
Dr.
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
during Trump's era, I used to turn off my TV. At some point, I want to throw the remote at the TV. I think one time I hit my TV. Now I have the same feeling with Dr. Bawumia. When Dr. Bawumia comes on television and is talking, it's like he's draining the life out of me. The smile on his face when he's lying, the confidence he exudes, like Chairman James, Professor James said, the confidence he exudes when he's telling people lies, blatant lies, the promises that he knows he can. Then you see him laughing and his head, I don't know, there's something off, as they're asking for doctors to get in and check and tell us what's happening. I think it's very necessary for someone to do, that probing, for us to get to the bottom of things. What is happening? Is everything okay? Is what I will say. The last time I checked, when they say is everything okay with a man, they are talking about, impotency. But in this case, it's an entire different thing. So I want to know, is everything okay? Why is he always laughing at the, plight of Ghanaians? Like at this time of the hardship, the economy draining people, killing people, parents and markets and all of market women and farmers and all that, and traders, you are talking and laughing as if all is well. And like I said, from all economic indicators, there's nothing that has changed. There's nothing that's been added except the dwindling of, our economy down the gutters. So if I see Bawumia, to be honest, sometimes I don't listen to some of the things he says, because it's hard to watch. You can't just bring yourself to listen to him. It's not just hard, but it just is gut wrenching. It just sucks life out of you. Yeah. I think Professor James is right. Who is Bawumia is what we should be asking. Is he cloned, or is he still Bawumia? Because from Nigeria, we're able to Africa was able to know that President Buhari was cloned and it wasn't Buhari we were seeing. Perhaps they took the real Bawumia that we saw in 2016 and giving us a robotic replica of Bawumia where they just programmed to come out and talk to us because it's no longer funny. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ghanaians really give Bawumia the benefit of the doubt. And for that, I really appreciate the Ghanaian electorate, right? Their ability to listen to politicians and really vote based on the issues. And I think Bawumia came across as somebody who was sincere in the first time and really, touched people with the message that he gave. But now, as I said, he's contradicting himself all over the place. Now, which Bawumia are we going to take? In fact, so for me, I think a vote for Bawumia would mean rewarding bad behavior. And if anybody's kid was to behave the way Bawumia has behaved, you'll be spanked for it, right? You can't say this today and tomorrow is that. Like, where do we? So I think Ghanaians have given him, all that he deserved, and I think this should be the end of the road for him, to be honest with you. But again, our 2 hours has come so quickly, right? We converse about these things in a very passionate way that we don't even realize time flying by. But we still have a few minutes to the top of the hour. And so, what do you guys think about Cheddar? The third force, or what do they call him?
Dr. Zita Sweetheart. That is the sugar daddy I'm organizing for Dr. Zita. Dr. Zita, I know him personally.
I have taste and I have spec.
Oh, please. He's a fine man. He's a fine man.
No.
Look, in my opinion, look, he's ambitious. I think that we should give young people a listening. I'm not, you see, you were trying to, go like this because I said give young people. We should give them a listening. We should try to help them. He has the ambition. He has the dream. But is he ready? I don't think he's ready. He's still, should I say, amateur. He's not mature enough to fully understand. Even though in recent times we've seen, the uprising of young people. Just 2 days ago, Sierra Leone elected their first young president, I think, Senegal. Right?
Senegal.
Was it Senegal? Yeah. And I think some time ago was Sierra Leone. And then we saw Ibrahim, is it Traoré, and other young leaders. Yes, there's a shift in our, dynamics of politics right now, where the young people are rising up to leadership positions. But a con man is always going to be a con man. There are people we should never allow near presidency, like people like President Akufo-Addo. People like them should not. And so having a guy like Cheddar come in, yes, Cheddar could be a force to mobilize young people, to put pressure on leaders, on government, but he's not ready for presidency. And I don't want us to discourage young people from coming or rising up to that potential or that position. So for me, I have a mixed feeling. Is he overly ambitious? Yes, but I like people who are gusty and people who are dreamers. He has a dream, but this is preparing for a bigger task ahead, but he's not ready now. He's a joke at this point.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Zita.
Mark, you see, when Haja talked about young people now, it's not about being young. It's about what is his proven record. He came out of nowhere. So it's not about being young. We want people who need to serve, have a proven record. You cannot lead until you've been in a position of serving. You need to serve in a certain capacity. And by large, that is one of the things that made me really admire, Professor Atta Mills. He served. He understood. He worked in Ghana for a prolonged period. And understood things. So you can't just come. And that is the danger here. Let's give young people, where is he coming from? Who is he? Where is his credibility? Where did he get his sources of money, income from? He talks about lofty ideas that cannot be implemented, that don't make no sense, and people are chanting. and people are going with, oh, tribal and ethnic, give young people a chance. How can you dredge? How much does the Ashanti region produce in terms of their contribution to trade or overall in Ghana that you want to dredge a seed there? These are physical. We need to look at the fiscal implications. How much are their contribution? So for me, as an academic and a critical thinker, it's a disrespect and a joke that an anonymous person who've never served in any public sector, in any public capacity, will want to aspire for the highest office in the land, and he is a joke, and everybody, and I don't know if it's the mystery around him that is making people like fanatic and jump all over.
Professor Zita, don't worry, I'm going to connect the two of you. You should get to know Cheddar. He's a dreamer, and I like his guts.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think I want us to stop on the hour. I mean, they say ladies last, right? So they have the last word.
Mark, I want to hear quickly, me and Dr. James too can just share their
Okay, all right.
No, for me, I think Cheddar is not ready. I don't have anything against him. I just feel he's not ready. Maybe in the future, but yes, but for now, I think he's not ready. But I want to end on Bawumia. What I want to say about Bawumia is, there's a quote by Maya Angelou. It says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. This guy have shown us he's a failure. He doesn't mean what he says, and that's what Ghanaians should also do to him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, James. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Sure. Yeah, I think Shada, I have no idea who that man is, so we should not even be thinking about him. Haji said it all. He should be used to mobilize the youth to support somebody who has been tested. The magnitude of Ghana's problem requires somebody who has been there before. You know, the country is at the verge of collapse. And so if we're going to restore it, if we're going to have a future, we need to put somebody who has been there, has proven himself, has a track record. And that is former President John Dramani. And that is the person that Ghanaians should all rally around to save the country, if we do want to have a future. Otherwise, forget about it. Thank you.
Ekuya Donko was a presidential candidate on our ballot paper. So I would say Cheddar is qualified to be on it. But like we all said, he's not ready. I like us to motivate the young people to dare. Like I said, the Octagon generations have dragged us to this mess. I think it's about time we take back our city and drive it ourselves from these generations that are creating a lot of problems for us that we have or no idea how we're going to resolve. So, Dr. Zita, you and Cheddar would have to have a dinner or a lunch, and you would love the guy. Believe me, he has dreams, but he's not ready to implement those dreams. Yes. And I'm sure he should be a second A+ in our country to drive our leaders and keep them on their toes. I think he would make an impact.
Hajia, unlike many women, I don't go with dreams. I go with a proven record. Tell me what you have done. Pitch and show me the proven record. I'm not a woman who goes with dreams. I do not watch Disney. I do not watch Hollywood.
Hey, sometimes you don't know what someone can pull. So I think it's about giving someone the chance. So
we're also here. We give us the chance and see what we can do. You know, so.
Thank you. Thank you. My brother, thank you.
Well,
I like to get on Dr. Z's nerves with Cheddar.
Well, guys, thanks for a very engaging 2-hour session. And to our viewers, we appreciate you, and we expect you back here next week, Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Ghana, UK time, right, for more fierce engagement with my colleagues here. All right. Until next time, we'll call it a day. Happy Easter to everyone.
Happy Easter. Bye. Okay. Thank you.
Easter. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Na